YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. Heading into NFL Week 2, I got score predictions for every single NFL game. We do this every week, every single Wednesday afternoon. On Tuesdays, I got power rankings every week and straight up picks with the other boys of the Goat House. So those are up for this week already. Go check them out. A lot of content, a lot of NFL content here and on our Twitter. So join us, like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Make sure you follow that Twitter, keeping the fans involved there. A lot of extra things on there. So again, link down below. It's on your screen. Appreciate you guys. Also in this video, we take a look at the lines on the game, see if there's any games worth putting money on. If you want to know exactly which games you should put money on, check out the BetQL App Store, Google Play. There's also a website. There's links all over the description, also your screen. There's a special offer with the link for BetMGM. You can find all that in the description section of our videos here. Use code GOAT if you decide to join up. 25% off. Helps me, helps you. Check it out. It's a very cool site. Really tells you who you should be betting on. They're accurate. I got signed up a couple weeks ago. It shows who they think you should bet on. It kind of shows their model and the records of all time from that model, a percentage chance of being successful, and it has who the professionals are betting on as well, so you kind of can match it up. They got first half against the spread, first half totals, second half against spread, second half totals, full game against the spread, money line totals, meaning over under, anything you can think of for any sport. Again, it's very accurate. All that info is down below in the description, so check it out. It'd be worth it. It'll definitely be worth it. There's our Twitter Picks League here. Link down below. We're doing polls every week. We get 2 polls, and then for semifinals and a finals, the defensive player of the week. Right now, it's a battle between Chandler Jones and Vita Vea. There's the offensive, Kyler Murray and Tyreek Hill. So we see a Cardinals player in both there. So you guys will be deciding a lot of this every week. Again, a lot of extra stuff going on that Twitter. Score predictions. Let's do it. Thursday Night Football. It's a tough one right off the bat because Fitzpatrick is out. Taylor Heineke can definitely handle. He definitely can handle it in my opinion. But what makes it interesting is the Giants are on a 5-game win streak against the Washington Football Team. Daniel Jones has never lost to the Washington Football Team. That doesn't mean they're never going to lose to the Washington Football Team, but maybe chances are a little bit towards their side with that. I think this is the time where Washington beats the Giants. Close game, defensive ball game. I think their defense gets it done here. That may be a little bit surprising in terms of lack of pressure on them. They got some, but a little bit lacking against the Chargers last week. And they get it going against this offense line. Daniel Jones, they kind of create that play. Really, and the Giants defense in general was disappointing last week. I think they can step it up a little bit. Really, I could see both defenses kind of making that huge play. Scoring maybe, setting up for a score that can change the game. I'm going to go Washington, though. I think they kind of get that. The pressure that they can provide on Daniel Jones kind of just creates the difference there. But we'll see. It's maybe the Giants got too many weapons for Washington's defense to handle. I do like the weapons. It's just, Daniel Jones got to step up. Daniel Jones got to step up to help those great weapons they have. The offensive line's got to step up to help Daniel Jones. In Washington on Thursday night, I'm leaning towards them. It should be a good one too. It's not like the biggest name teams, but should be a pretty good one. I have it right around the spread there, so it's definitely a tough one to bet on. Bengals, Bears, I got a squeaker. This is a toss-up game, 27-26, 1-point game here. Bengals looked pretty solid last week against the Vikings. They ran the ball well. I talked about the interior defense. Their defense looked pretty good. They got Jamar Chase going. Joe Burrow looked fine. There was some worries about preseason. There was some worries for Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase from preseason. I don't think only been 1 week, but I don't really think any of that came true there. So because they look good. And the Bears didn't look so great. They did move the ball better than what the points will show in that Rams game. A lot of small ball, quick dink and dunk. It's very hard to defend early in season. I think they continue with that. Dalton gets the job done against his old team. But, yeah, it's definitely a toss-up. The Bears defense really struggled, especially in the secondary, kind of blown coverage there. With Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon can catch the ball out of the backfield. They got a couple guys. They got Joe Burrow slinging. That could be the difference. Why the Bengals win that game for sure. And the Bears' lack of pressure pass rush last week, disappointing. I think they kind of get it going in this week. Not the toughest task against the Bengals. Burrow was sacked 5 times last week. Last week in that game, the Vikings also put themselves in some very, very bad situations offensively. 3rd and 15, after holding 3rd and 20. Likely the Bears don't get 120 yards or so in penalties, so it could be a whole different game. I'm going to take the Bears at home. I do worry about the Bears fans. It could be a great thing, home field advantage, home crowd advantage, but I don't want them to be chanting for Fields or booing Dalton, booing the offense. That wouldn't be ideal, so that's something I'm thinking about too. I don't think I ever brought up kind of the fans in a game like that, in a negative way, but could be interesting. I'm going to take the Bears in a tight one here. Texans-Browns, I think the Browns really have no problem here. Odell's out again. We just heard that recently. I think they get the job done by 14 points here. Texans definitely could be better than what we thought. We can't really base it off of 1 week against the Jaguars, but they definitely can be. They're pretty deep, a little more explosive than we thought. The collection of running backs definitely helps for sure. They're healthy right now. Guys like Brandon Cooks, that definitely helps for sure as well. Christian Kirksey on the other side, who was an ex-Brown actually, but besides the point. But it's a totally different matchup than the Jags. And people think it's a different matchup because the Browns are way better than the Jags. It's true, but mainly, the Texans just kind of had the game plan for the pass. That was really about it. And against that weaker defense, weaker secondary, they can kind of throw downfield at the same time. Now, the Browns are just maybe the most dominant running team in football. You sure have to game plan for the run, and even if you do, I don't know if you're really going to stop them at the same time. And on top of that, they can throw, they can hit you that surprise, that dagger, from Baker Mayfield. And defensively, they're going to present much more of a problem than the Jaguars did, their secondary specifically. The Jags actually believe it or not, they got a ton of pressure on Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor just avoided the pressure. He got away from it. Will he get away from guys like Myles Garrett? That's kind of the question of this game. But, matchup problem and the Browns just being much better at home. Coming off a loss, they're pissed off about, blowing that lead. I think they'll handle business here. I got them winning by 14 points. They are favored by a lot. What if the Texans pulled this off, man? That would be something. 2-0, looking good. The Browns 0-2. It'd be time for panic time then. Man, just think about that. I'm thinking about that for a lot of these games this week. Next up, we got the Rams and the Colts. I got another 1-point game, another squeaker. I think it's going to be a real good game. I thought about the Colts in this game. There's just too many things that kind of just side towards the Rams in terms of the matchup, the kind of the game plan there, which it always doesn't go that way. That's just how I pick. They're favored by 4. I only got them winning by 1 in Indianapolis. I don't know, the Colts would be tough for that. A good team to drop 2 in a row, but it's a tough schedule. Here's the problem. The Rams present some of the things that beat up the Colts last week with the Seahawks. Some play action. Deep ball is dangerous. It's kind of the same problems that the Colts had with the Seahawks, like I said. So I think the Rams will kind of continue that and find that success. The Colts are in a tricky spot too. So they're saying we got beat deep last week. The Rams are going to run some similar concepts. They're going to go deep. We got to make sure we lock down the deep ball. That sounds good, but the Rams can kind of do whatever they want then. They can probably pick them off, pick them apart underneath. Robert Woods is very good underneath. Multiple receivers are, but, so they really are stretching the field out here. So that kind of sides towards the Rams. I think the Rams defense actually allowed the Bears to get a good amount of yards. And that game could have been a lot closer. It was a lot of small ball, dink and dunk. I think Carson Wentz and the Colts can do that and have some success on it, and they can get Jonathan Taylor going a little more. I think it's going to be moments, another one of those games where it's going to be looking like more offense, and then all of a sudden it's a defensive quarter maybe, kind of back and forth. But more of the matchup kind of sides towards the Rams there. But this could be it's one I can just see. Week 2, Rams are hot, Colts are cold. And then the Colts just pull it off at home. It's just something I can see just early in the season. But I'm going to stick with the Rams. But again, I think there's a game that can go either way. I think it's going to be a really good game. So we will see what happens with that one. Definitely looking forward to it. Bills and Dolphins. I got the Bills winning by 7. They're favored by 3.5. This could be a tricky one, though. Did the Steelers expose the Bills? They ran more zone coverage, not what the Steelers are used to running. And the Bills Josh Allen really struggled with it. And the Dolphins, you think they run man coverage. They blitz a lot. They'll send different linebackers in, whether it's off the edge or on the inside in terms of a blitz, But you kind of know what the Dolphins throw at you with that. But could they, hey, let's run a lot more zone. Let's throw these guys off. Actually, go back to last year. One of the, poorer games for Josh Allen last year was the Titans game, if you remember. And the Titans they kind of gave man looks, but ran cover 2, trap coverage. So maybe the zone coverage is the way to go and kind of just going with some trap coverages. Maybe teams will take a page out of those teams' books there. So it's kind of sitting in the back of my mind. Did people find a way to kind of slow down the Bills and Josh Allen here? So questions will be answered throughout this game. I'm still feeling the Bills. I think they'll have success on offense. I think Josh Allen will figure it out. Stephon Diggs and company there. And they'll get going. I still think the Dolphins kind of stick what they normally do, but it'll be interesting to see. I don't fully trust the Dolphins' offense yet. I think they'll get there, so don't get me wrong. Tua's got to stay more consistent. The lack of running game kind of hurts a little bit. And the Bills played a very, despite the loss, they played a very, very good defensive game last week. So it's not the easiest task to play the Bills' defense right now. But the Dolphins have the weapons. The Dolphins have the weapons, and I think the side opposite of Tre'Davious White, that corner spot, I think that's a spot where you can kind of target there a little bit, no matter who's on the field. So we'll see. Maybe the Dolphins got something in the back pocket on offense here, but I'm going to go with the Bills. It's tough playing in Miami in the heat, too, early season. So I'm just feeling the Bills here. I got them winning by 7, but it's definitely one that's interesting. What if the Bills drop this game? What if the Dolphins show them that zone coverage that Josh Allen has struggled with? It might be panic time. It actually might be panic time. You would think that the Bills will still be a good team when it's all said and done, but it's like, oh, man, you might have some worries. So definitely looking forward to see the outcome in this game and how it unfolds here. Patriots, Jets. I got the Patriots handling business. Got them winning by 13. The Jets got too many injuries, not enough offense. They're really not too effective at all running the ball. Offensive line, again, Mekhi Becton's hurt. Offensive line was pretty poor last week as well. And the Patriots will be blitzing and they'll be defending. It's just defense is a guessing game, and when the offense of the other team is making it easy, like we know they're going to pass the ball. We know that. You can blitz, you can pass rush. The edge rushers don't have to worry about containing or getting inside to stop a run. You can go straight for the quarterback and they can defend on the back end. It's going to be very easy for Bill Belichick. They'll win this game with defense. I think Mac Jones will have some bright moments. Damian Harris will have some bright moments. Probably a lot of clock running. Probably not a lot of incompletions or deep, towards the sideline. So I don't know if they'll score an insane amount of points, but the defense will look real good in this game. If Zach Wilson can go out there and ball out, this is going to be a statement, a great look for the Jets. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they go out there and do that. It's just a tough situation. Too early on for the Jets. Too many injuries. Patriots, felt like they should have won that last game. They're going to be pissed off here. They'll handle the business. They'll handle their business there, mainly on the defensive side. Great game here. 49ers, the Eagles. Really looking forward to this game. I picked the Eagles by myself last week, in the Pick'ems video, and I was pleased with them. They're better than expected, dominant actually. So I'm thrilled about the Eagles. I never really get myself to the point where I'm thrilled about a team just based off a Week 1 game, but I'm excited for the Eagles. But I'm still going to go with the Niners in this game. It's tricky because the Niners are, they already have those injuries. Mostert, Verrett. Ayuk's questionable. D Ford's questionable. We got these questionable guys here. So that's pretty tough. You do worry about the secondary, the coverage, mainly at the cornerback position for the 49ers. Could the Eagles expose that? Really like their play calling, their adjustments throughout the game last week. I think the Niners just present something totally different here, though. I think that their defense a little underwhelming last week, but I think their defense, mainly their front seven, won't really be a problem big time for Hurts and company, but, I think they'll do enough. They'll have, they'll stop them, of course, at times, present more of way more. It's, the Falcons' defense is a big-time work in progress. The Niners is not. It's the opposite of that. A lot depends what the Niners do, because I think game plan for Jimmy Garoppolo is not super difficult, and maybe it's not too far off of game planning for Matt Ryan, really. Eagles did a good job getting pressure. The 49ers have a much better offensive line than the Falcons do, but the Eagles, the pass rush unit is fantastic. They probably can get the job done against anyone. So I think having a Trey Lance factor where it's almost a whole different system, running styles, even passing game, a lot of RPO, more of ability to throw on the run, get outside. So I think Trey Lance could be more of a fact. If the 49ers are thinking like I'm thinking, and I trust Shanahan fully, then that could be, we could see more Lance and kind of they can throw the Eagles off. I think they're kind of saving more Lance, more of the trickery, shifting the two quarterbacks in and out for the tougher matchups. And you got a tough matchup here with the Eagles in week 2. So I think they kind of lean towards that a little bit. Just a different matchup for the Eagles, but this should be a really good game. I got the 49ers pulling it off by 3. 49ers can't turn the ball over like they did last week, and the defense got to step up a little bit. But if the Eagles go out there and win, they look very dominant again, then we got to be very serious about these Philadelphia Eagles then. So can't wait to see what they got for us. Raiders and Steelers. I'm pretty confident with the Steelers in this one. Yeah, 7 points, not a huge win. It's mainly because Steelers' offense. I guess I'm not fully confident in their offense. 24 points is plenty enough, though, so it's not like I'm doubting their offense or, I just don't, the Raiders actually did a good job on defense last week. The thing is, you kind of know what they're going to run. They're going to run cover 3. They're going to run a lot of it, so you do kind of know that, so it makes it a little easier on the offense for a well-coached team here to game plan. So I think the Steelers will get some offense going. There's not a lot of explosive plays. Not going to go put an insane amount of points up on the board, but I'm still, even though it's only 7 points, which is kind of a lot in the NFL, I'm confident with the Steelers in this game. The Raiders with their injuries, short week. The Steelers, Mike Tomlin, I talked about in the other video, the picks video, Mike Tomlin perfectly started the season. Running, this is a man coverage team, whether they're running cover 1 or 2-man under, it's just man coverage team and a blitzing team. And they go in there and run all zone and no blitz, basically. And they had 1 blitz against the Bills. It threw them off. But I'm more focused on this game because what the Raiders did against the Ravens are also a crazy man coverage / blitz team, and the Raiders offense game plan for that perfectly, and won the game because of that. So you kind of think they got that in their minds, like, well, we can have the same game plan for the Steelers, right? Because they do some very, very similar things as the Ravens. But wait, they just showed all this crazy zone coverage that we're not used to seeing in week 1. What the hell do we game plan for? They're going to give us different looks. You don't know what to expect. He flipped it around. Tomlin flipped it around. The guessing game is on the offense now instead of the defense, so I love that, and I think that'll be a factor here in this game. So Steelers win with their defense again. Maybe a little more from Najee Harris, even though the Raiders stopped the run pretty well. It's way different than the Ravens-style running game, though, obviously. So I think Najee get going a little bit in this game. I like the Steelers. Huge Mike Tomlin guy. Saints and Panthers. This one will probably be a little close. Yeah, they say the line's kind of that. The line is -3 too, so it's kind of in the same area there. I was expecting a bigger spread for the Saints. I thought I was going to be bold having this close, but I guess it's pretty obvious. The Saints are going to be missing some guys in the coaching staff, perhaps, and they're missing Marcus Davenport, Marshawn Lattimore. So they're missing some Eric McCoy, their center, and they're already missing, obviously Michael Thomas, who they were fine without last week, and David Onyemata. But it kind of adds up there, and that's really not ideal for the Saints. I still think they get the job done, though. I think another one of those games where it's probably going to be a mixture of, early on example would be like, this game might be high scoring, and then all of a sudden it's just a stall in defense, and then kind of back and forth. I think it could be one of those games. The Panthers got a sneaky good defense. They got a playmaking defense, so could they get it's a new Jameis Winston. It really does feel like it, and I'm all for it, but could the Panthers kind of, get their hands on the ball a little bit, make a play here or there? So I'm looking at the Panthers defense. That could be a reason they win. Another reason is the collection of receivers they have. For the Packers, when the Saints played them last week and dominated them, it's kind of just focus on Devontae Adams. Panthers got a collection of guys you got to worry about. Not having Marshawn Lattimore, that could make things interesting. But, last week it was more of a dink and dunk offense for the Panthers. That doesn't get the job done against the Saints. They're going to have to target guys downfield. Can we fully trust Sam Darnold against this very solid Saints team, well-coached team? I don't fully trust them here. They have the weapons on both sides of the ball. I don't fully trust them. I'm going to take the Saints despite missing some guys. I still think they'll get pressure. You're missing Davenport. You're missing Onyemata, like we said. That was well known already. I still think they get enough pressure to cause some problems there. I think they get the job done here. If Jameis Winston takes care of the ball the whole game, which he definitely can, it does feel like a new improved guy. They're going to win by more than this. I think the Panthers probably can make a play in there. It's a sneaky good defense, like I said. So it should be an interesting game, especially a rival game kind of in Carolina. So we'll see. Definitely becomes interesting with the Saints situation. That's not ideal, but they're still at a pretty good spot coming off that dominant win. Broncos, Jags. I got the Broncos by 7. Part of me thinks, Jags come out there with it's this college-style passing offense. It's really not – the Broncos got like an old-school defense, coached by Vic Fangio. It could throw them off. It actually could throw them off a little bit, but I'm not really, predicting that there. 20 points is a decent amount against a good Broncos defense, but I think the Broncos got too much defense, and I don't know if the offense is really as good as what we saw last week. It could be. It may not be for the Broncos, but I don't think they'll have too much problems against the Jaguars defense. It could be the worst defense in football. So probably a lot of running clock in this one. as the Broncos will run the crap out of the ball, and the Jags might try to force some runs since they didn't do it a lot last week. But, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what they do. It's up in the air with the Jaguars there. But, I think a 7-point win where the Broncos will kind of be comfortable the whole way, kind of just have the lead the whole way. So Ronald Darby goes down, but somebody will step up for them. Patrick Surtain, that surprisingly did not get many snaps last week. He will get more this week, so we'll see how that goes. Trevor Lawrence bounce back game. Hey, maybe plays out of his mind, because sometimes those very first games for specifically number one overall picks do not go well according to history. Like, they actually never win, and they never really play well, even if they end up being good. So, hey, second game, nerves are gone. Maybe he lights up a very good defense. That'd be something. But I'm gonna go with the Broncos here. I like them better on both sides of the ball. We really shouldn't be liking should we be liking the Broncos? No shot at the Broncos there, but Broncos offense better than the Jags. Like, the Jags offense should be at least similar, equally as good, probably better. So that's a little disappointing, but it's only been 1 week. We'll see if that turns around in week 2. Vikings, Cardinals. And I got the Cardinals this one. They looked real good last week against the Titans. I don't think it would be as much of a big win this week. It definitely could be, but I know they'll handle their business here. I don't think there's really going to – they win by 5 points. I don't know if there'll ever really be a scare in this game maybe. But the Cardinals looked real good on both sides of the ball last week. The Vikings kind of shot themselves in the foot many times, mainly with penalties. So, I don't know if they get that many penalties again. It's unlikely. But that offensive line is rough. Even when Kirk Cousins wasn't getting sacked, he was getting drilled and having to complete passes, and he was actually clutching up at the end. But now you're going against Chandler Jones, who got 5 sacks last week, and J.J. Watt, and they can send Zaven Collins and Isaiah Simmons at any time they want, is Waputa Baker. So that very much could be a problem here, So the Dalvin Cook probably gets going a little bit, but the Cardinals did stop Derrick Henry surprisingly well. The Vikings, it's typical Vikings. They'll probably be hot and cold, offensively. It's like, all right, 3 and out. All right, big play, touchdown. It'd probably be that. I like the key here, Cardinals red zone defense. I like Cardinals red zone defense. The Vikings are probably kicking more field goals and scoring touchdowns. I think Kyler Murray at times will be a problem for the Vikings defense. Zimmer's really good in adjusting, in terms of a game plan for something like that. So they probably can find a way to slow him down at some point. Patrick Peterson versus old team. Everything just points towards the Cardinals. I think the Vikings at times will look like they're slowing them down a little bit, but everything points towards the Cardinals. I got them winning by 5 here in this game. If Vikings lose to the Bengals week 1, Cardinals dominate a good team of the Titans. I could see it like week 2 just being like a what the hell was that moment. Just it always happens. So we'll see though. Everything point towards the Cardinals here in week 2. Falcons and Bucks. I got the Bucks and the Falcons to be a little more successful due to some Buccaneers injuries. I think the Falcons be a little more successful offensively than they were against the Eagles. They'll get the passing game going a little bit. They're going to have to because the Buccaneers are going to come out there and stop the run. And the Falcons won't be able to run the ball too effectively. They should be getting Ridley and Kyle Pitts going in this game. If they can't, there's some sort of big problem out there. It might be Matt Ryan. I don't think it's Pitts and Ridley getting separation or making catches. Definitely won't be that. It's either Matt Ryan or the protection, but at the same time, there's teams that with far worse protection that are just finding ways to get to the balls, to get the ball to their playmakers. So it's a question still. Only been 1 week. So we'll see. They got to get the ball. They got to get the ball to the big-time playmakers. Defensively, still a work in progress. Tom Brady will light it up. Ronald Jones, I think, a step-up game. Not too much action last week, probably because he fumbled. Fournette also started. Probably picks it up a little bit. Ronald Jones, that is this week. So Buccaneers handle business, win by 11. It is right around the spread though, a whopping 12.5. Cowboys Chargers. I got a shootout. I'm gonna take the Chargers in this one. Both teams might be missing their right tackle. Balaga is questionable, so they may have him. I think they'll show more so towards Leo Collins, who was outstanding right tackle, played very, very well last week. I think Joey Bosa and company coming in there. I think they'll blitz Kenneth Murray a little bit. It's a very good play. I think that's the difference this one. In a shootout game where it's mainly going to be offense, which defense can step up and make that big-time stop or big-time play? I'm going with the Chargers defense at home in an offensive game, if that makes sense. But yeah, I think both quarterbacks and receiver units will light it up. A lot of drops in the Chargers receiver unit last week. I think they cleaned that up a little bit. I think they'll be more confident getting Eckler going. They kind of got him going last week, but he was a little limited in practice all week, and they're a little more confident getting him going underneath. Again, Chargers really stretched that field out. Reason for the Cowboys, maybe they get Zeke going. They played the best run defense football last week. They get Zeke going. It really can throw the Chargers off. Are they running? They passing? So that could be a reason for them. I think the Chargers, again, I think they get too much offense and make that extra play on defense. So I do like them winning by 4. It should be a very entertaining game if you like offense in this one. I went bold in this one. Titans are underdogs by 5.5, and I'm still on the fence about this one. I'm very well aware. I'm going pretty bold, but again, before last week, before the week 1, the all random week 1, it happens every year. Before that week, is this bold? I don't think this is bold. I think most people probably were picking the Titans, so I don't think we can base too much off one week there, week 1, where the Titans look terrible and the Seahawks look great. But maybe we can. Maybe we can. Why it's actually tough to pick against Seahawks. First game at home with the crowd back. Pete Carroll's never lost a home opener. That makes it real tough for me, but I'm never a guy where, going off that logic, that means they'll never lose a home opener. It's not the case, so... but that does make it tough. It does make it tough. But it's another one of those, I'm kind of just going with my gut. I can see everyone's down the Titans right now. We could kind of see that wasn't them in week 1. Didn't look like they were prepared. Looked like they were sloppy. Julio Jones looked awful. That's not a thing. Maybe it's a thing. It's only the second week. Maybe it's a thing again. That's very, very possible. Derrick Henry and this is kind of why I'm picking him. Derrick Henry got shut down last week. It forced him to do, only pass, and then it made it easy for the Cardinals. A great pass rush getting after Tannehill and not being able to get the ball to their top targets, A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. Seahawks, they could slow down Derrick Henry. I don't think he gets completely shut down right away. I also don't really, their pass rush was surprisingly solid last week. They're not Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt. Tannehill's not going to be getting drilled in 2 seconds every play, and that means he can spread the ball out to A.J. Brown and Julio Jones, the great duo. At least we think it could be a great duo. And then that gives you the Seahawks corners, how will they be able to cover those guys? So those things kind of stack up to me a little bit. And then you look at defensively, the Titans actually got an insane amount of pressure on Kyler Murray, believe it or not, but Kyler Murray is just crazy and kept escaping it. Russell Wilson is good at escaping pressure throwing the run. Sometimes he does step into sacks, though. So it's a lot is on Russell Wilson this game because surprisingly, the Titans actually will get pressure. That deep ball of Russell Wilson could beat them up pretty good. That's where you beat them. So I still think a good game from the Seattle Seahawks offense, Russell Wilson and company, getting the ball downfield. Scoring 28 points is kind of a shootout here. But I like the Titans, kind of my gut and kind of the reasons I explained. Like, they'll actually be able to get Derrick Henry going. Tannehill will actually have time. He's not going to get strip sacked twice. It's like an unlikely thing that happened last week. They'll be able to get the ball to A.J. Brown, who's one of the best playmakers in football. They'll be able to get the ball to Julio Jones, So I think they'll be able to do these things. I think it'll be a high-scoring game. It's just, in Seattle, home opener, big Pete Carroll, never loses that. That's kind of what makes it tough. Seahawks very well could win. I am very well aware it's pretty bold, and anything can happen in this game. It's definitely one I'm looking forward to. Got to go bold sometimes, right? And it's the Tennessee Titans. We expect them to be pretty good, so it shouldn't be that bold, but a lot on the coaching staff. They were not prepared last week, but I guess the Cardinals are a tougher team to prepare for early in season. Chiefs, Ravens, an ultimate shootout here, 37-30. I don't really trust the Chiefs defense a whole lot against good offenses, and surprisingly, I don't trust the Ravens defense either. It's usually one of the best defenses in football. We talked about it. Peters is out. That kind of just changes their whole defensive plan because they blitz, they run a lot of man coverage, whether it's cover 1, cover 0, which is heavy blitz. You even bring the safeties up, you blitz them. They're in the box. There's rarely safety help in the back end. Corners, hardest job in football is to play cornerback for the Baltimore Ravens. I'll say that. Harder than quarterback. All right, so they can't run their game. They did against the Raiders, and Derek Carr figured a way to torch it. They got torched in the second half. And now we're talking about Patrick Mahomes and those receivers who also feast off of blitz and man coverage. Is what you don't want to run against the Chiefs, and the Ravens decide to do so every time they play the Chiefs and lose. The good news is the Ravens might have no choice. We got to switch it up. We got to run some zone coverage, and that could be their chance there, but it's just not their game. It's not what they're used to, so I'm not trusting the Ravens defense. We're learning how good Marcus Peters is. I've always been a huge Marcus Peters guy. We're learning that. And Marlon Humphrey's incredible too. And they still got him. Thank God there. Offensively, I think they'll be fine. I think Lamar Jackson bounced back game after kind of struggling a bit, with the fumbles last week. I think he gets going. I think Tyson Williams and company gets going. Receivers will play a little bit better of a game, mainly on the ground. I think the Ravens will be very successful on the ground. The Chiefs don't present too much of a pass rush, or they don't stop the run at a very high level. It's going to be all offense in this one. And I'm gonna trust the Chiefs in that offensive game there with Mahomes and company. So 37-30, absolute shootout. I'd be shocked if it was low scoring. If it was, I'd be thinking just a lot of clock ran out. That would be the reason, not because struggling on offense and great defense. So I'd be shocked if it was because of that. But I'm gonna go Chiefs here. That Sunday night football game in Baltimore. Sometimes prime time being home, prime time is sometimes could be a deciding factor alone. So we'll see there. Monday night, I got the Packers 34-20. I think I had the Packers scoring 34 points last week. Dead wrong. I think we were all wrong about that one. We'll give it another go here. I'm feeling 34. I think they'll get going offensively. People kind of ripping Aaron Rodgers a little bit. I saw a quote from Jermichael Finley, former teammate, kind of give him some shit there. And that's going to make Aaron Rodgers play like Aaron Rodgers. So all of the above, and because he can. So I think they'll get going. The Lions very well could have one of the worst defenses in football. Their offense was surprisingly pretty solid. I keep saying it, not because the late run, but even when they weren't scoring the Niners game, they were actually able to move the ball pretty well. That bad pick six really threw things off for a little bit there. So I think they'll use DeAndre Swift. They'll use Jamal Williams, former Packer. They'll get them going. Packers defense was sloppy last week, so the Lions will score around 20 points, I think, which is a decent amount. I think the Packers take care of business. It's not the best Monday night game, but I think that helps the Packers for sure. Home Monday night, something to prove. People doubting them maybe a little bit, I think they get going. Somebody in the NFC North's got to win because they play each other. Lions, Packers, they're 0-1. The Vikings play the Cardinals. The Bears play the Bengals. So by my prediction, just the Vikings and the Lions sitting there at 0-2, but anything can happen. I talk about week one's random, anything can happen. Week two is pretty much there. I'd say not as random and anything can happen, but pretty close. In week three, it's still somewhat close, and then as soon as we get to week four, that's kind of when we're free. We're kind of free there. So we'll see. I think we're in for some more surprises, especially the people I think will be surprised that are basing too much off week one there. Teams that won last week will lose, and the opposite. It's just how it goes. It shouldn't really be a surprise. Another special thanks to our sponsors at BetQL. There's an app. Download it. There's a website. Check it out. If you sign up, use code GOAT for 25% off. There is a lot more info and links, including a special offer from BetMGM down in the description section. Check it out. They got everything you need for betting on any games, any sport, literally everything. They basically will tell you who to bet on, what is the correct bets, and they are accurate. So check that out. Links down below and more info in the description, like I said. Follow us on Twitter. You won't regret that. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Be much, much appreciated. We're back with this video every Wednesday afternoon and a lot of other NFL videos throughout every single week of the NFL season and in the offseason. So join us. It's going to do it for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.